What's up guys, Brian here in the Gecko Lab once again coming at you with a new video. Today we're going to go over another question that I got emailed by a customer recently that I thought I would share to help some of you guys out. But first, because I know I'm going to get sidetracked on this story, so I'm going to get it out of the way now, I am going to use this little guy in my video today. So I want to tell you about him because I love this. This is a Komodo dragon sculpture, and I actually bought this. I got a couple of these sculptures that I bought on Komodo Island. I went on a trip a couple years back with a friend of mine. We went to Singapore, Bali, and the Komodo Islands. It was incredible, you guys. We spent 3 days on this tiny little boat cruising through Indonesia. We went to Komodo Island, Rinca Island, and Flores Island is where we flew in, and it was so cool hiking. It was like Jurassic Park, man, going through Indonesia on this tiny boat and these huge green islands everywhere, and you dive in and snorkel up to the beach, and then we're hiking up the mountains and these enormous 10+ foot lizards just laying on rocks sunbathing. It was literally like walking through Jurassic Park. The most incredible, well, one of the most incredible experiences of my life. Someday I'm going to make a video getting more into that, but this little guy that I'm going to use in this demonstration, I bought this on Komodo Island, the native tribe that still lives there. These guys have been living on this island for like 40,000 years. The only people allowed to be on the island permanently or even spend the night on the island. You can't even camp there or tie your boat up there. Only the natives are allowed to be there. And they carve these dragon figures out of the local trees and sell them to the tourists. So I bought a couple of them. I'm going to use this little one in my demonstration. I just had to share that story with you guys. So to get into today's question, I got emailed a question from a customer who was freaking out, understandably. They had got a gecko. They bought a gecko from me a couple weeks back, and they emailed me and they said, hey, I'm really scared about my gecko. He hasn't eaten in 2 weeks. I got him shipped in from you 2 weeks ago and he hasn't eaten yet. I'm really worried. 2 weeks is a long time. What's wrong? What am I doing wrong? Is the gecko sick? Did you send me a defective gecko? What's going on? So I'm gonna answer this one, guys, for you guys. The first thing you wanna look for in a situation like this is the easiest answer is to make sure that you know your gecko is not eating, because the majority of the time when someone emails me and says, hey, my gecko's not eating, their gecko is eating and they just can't tell. So this little sculpture, as you can see by my geckos here, it's about the same size as a gecko. So imagine the size of the stomach on this gecko. This would be an almost full-size crested gecko, and his stomach is going to be about the size of the tip of my pinky finger. Imagine how much food it takes to fill that stomach. Not very much. So if you're feeding a full dish of food, your gecko could be eaten to bursting full every single night and you would never notice any food missing. So I always tell people, make sure you know your gecko's actually not eating. Look for lick marks in the food, feed just a tiny bit one night and see if it's gone the next morning. You can tell that way if he's eating. Or the easiest way, look for poop. Fairly simple. If your gecko poops, your gecko's eating. That easy. So now that you know how to tell if your gecko is eating, what do you do if you're sure that your gecko's not eating? And particularly with this question, if it's a new gecko, well, the answer to this is nothing. It's perfectly normal for a gecko in a new environment not to eat for several weeks. Sometimes they'll eat right away. Sometimes they won't eat for 3 weeks because they're not comfortable in their new environment. I'm going to explain to you guys why that is. So here is our gecko that I'm going to use in this demonstration. So in the wild, geckos, crested geckos in the wild, usually find one nice place that they like to sleep, where they hang out during the daytime hours, where they're comfortable, where they've got a good temperature that they like, and we'll say it's back here behind this cage. That's where he hangs out during the day. He'll generally hang out in about that same spot every single day. Now, what most people don't realize is crested geckos are highly scent-oriented creatures, so they can actually produce a scent from their vent. They've got glands that produce a scent trail, so he comes out, it's now dusk, our gecko, he's gonna go find something to eat. Do-do-do-do-do, he hikes along over here, nump-nump, there's a bug, climbs up in the tree, chomps on a flower, gets some nectar, goes over here, finds some fruit. Okay, now he's getting back towards dawn time. He wants to go back for a nice relaxing day. He will follow his scent trail that he made all through the night straight back to his comfortable little hiding spot. And that's what crested geckos do in the wild. When they go out to explore during the night and find food, they leave a scent trail, and then they follow their scent trail back to where they're comfortable for their sleeping hours. Okay, so imagine now you've got a gecko who's lived in a cage for the last year, 8 months, 6 months, whatever it is. Their scent trail is all over that cage. They are comfortable. They know this is home. They feel good. Take that gecko out, put him in a shipping box, FedEx him across the country or across the world sometimes, open him up, new person looks at him, puts him in a brand new, perfectly clean, sterilized cage, and that gecko is freaking out, man. He is thinking, I don't know what just happened. I don't know what I just went through. And most importantly, I got moved from my home to over here. Well, his natural instinct is to follow his scent trail back to where he's comfortable. Clearly, he's locked in a new cage now. He can't follow a scent trail. So this will make a lot of geckos panic and be really anxious, for lack of a better word. And the result is they don't eat. So until they calm down and they begin to scent mark that new cage, and it becomes scent oriented to them as their home and their safe place, a lot of times they won't eat. And this can take up to 3 weeks in some cases. Now, in most cases, I will say geckos eat within a week of arriving at their new home. They'll begin to eat. But in the case that you get a new gecko and he's not eating even for up to a couple weeks, he's fine. Just let him be. Put him in his cage in a quiet, out of the way corner of your house, somewhere that kids and pets and other family members aren't going to bother him. Leave the gecko alone, don't handle him too much, and just let him get acclimated to his new cage. They will begin to eat, I promise. No healthy, happy gecko has ever willingly starved himself to death. Despite how many people on Facebook think that that's going to happen, no gecko has ever purposely starved themselves to death. It does not happen. So your geckos will eat. Just give them time. They need to scent orient themselves into their new cage. And that's generally the answer to this question whenever I get it from a customer, either one of my customers or somebody else's customer who comes to me for advice. So that's my story for you today, guys. Thank you very much. I hope you found this helpful. I really appreciate you too. What are you doing in there? Calm down. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much. I'm Brian. AltitudeExotics.com. That is /AEGeckos on Facebook and Instagram. Please give us a follow. I'll see you guys soon.